I'll drop by you. I'll drop right here in the open.
Perfect. What is up, guys? JoshBarracks here, back with another guide video for all of my classic WoW players out there. The response on the two-handed Fury and Winterspring farm guide video have been really great, so I thought I would continue the trend and do a dire Maul East jump run guide, seeing as how BWL and Phase 3 are right around the corner. Hype. If you're anything like me and procrastinate on literally everything in life, then this video will be especially useful to you, as you can make some quick gold before the new content drops, just to turn around and spend it all on consumables. In all seriousness, this guide is going to be something that will show you how to most effectively run one of the best, if not the best, money-making dungeon routes in classic WoW, which will be useful for a very long time to come. There are plenty of videos out there that will detail how to do this type of jump run, but what I'm going to show you is how you can use a Shaman to damn near cheese the whole thing. From start to finish, Shamans make these runs so easy that it's almost comical. With that being said, the Shaman aspects of the video will be speaking to my Horde audience only, but the route and placements of this video can be used cross-faction. If you enjoy this video, please make sure to whirlwind that like button and subscribe to the channel. To watch gameplay live and to support future content, follow me on Twitch. That link is in the description. Now, let's jump into my DM East jump run guide. Alright, to begin our DM East jump runs, we do it 3-man. So I always say 2 warrior shaman is what makes it the easiest, right? You could do 1 warrior, 1 shaman to maximize loot, but I just think it's a lot easier with 2 warriors and a shaman. If you play on Alliance, probably 2 warriors, priest, maybe a paladin. I'm not sure, I don't play Alliance, but this is the best makeup for Horde if you don't want a 2-man it. So we 3-man it. We're going to be showing you where herbalism and thorium is, as well as boss strategies in this guide. So it'll be very comprehensive. So to begin, we're going to move to the front left as soon as you walk in, and we're going to drop down. Be careful when you drop down that you are not low health. Sometimes I see if a group wipes, and I'm not gonna lie, I am guilty of doing this at least once or twice, that you'll come back in after a wipe, you'll be half health, and you make this jump and you die again. You look pretty silly, so make sure that you have full health before dropping down. As soon as you drop, you can have a chance of seeing some Dreamfoil or Grom's blood right at your feet, and that's what you see there. So we're gonna walk forward and to the right up to the base of this tree. You saw that tree pat around us, so that's the pat for that tree. Now looking forward, we see multiple tree pats. We're going to be going into these tree pats in detail after the first 2 bosses, but for now we're going to wait for this very first tree pat right in front of us to pat to the right, and we are going to move forward and then diagonally in this direction towards the broken pillar. You see that Grom's blood right there. There can also be some Dreamfoil on the way to this location, so if you have your herbalist with you, make sure that they're picking that. Now this is the location of the very first book that can be on the ground. So when you're doing this route, make sure you check right where I was jumping. You can also find some herbs that are on the ground sprinkled in over there as well. Now we're going to continue to go straight against the wall here. Be careful that that tree pat does not hit you, so sometimes you have to stand and wait there until that tree pat comes through, but luckily we didn't have to wait. Now these shadow stalkers will go stealth and pat in between this area and where the first boss is, so if you can catch them early, I always recommend that you do so, so that they don't ambush you and sneak up on you while you are doing the very first boss. They also do this really annoying poison that makes you run and walk super slow, so it's just better to go ahead and get them out of the way. They can drop some fell cloth, etc, etc. So the first one kind of pats in between this room and out there. The second one can go right up and down the hallway I just listed with the marker, or he can just kind of be chilling around here in these corners. So we found them, and we're going to go ahead and kill them before moving on to the very first boss. Now for the first boss, before we approach him, I do want to just make a quick comment that if you are a warrior, and I'm sure that there are other, there's other gear for other classes that can do this, but you can wear the immune to disarm gloves, because he does disarm. I always forget. I have them on me in this gameplay. I just always forget to do it, and my group kind of always jokes around with me about it, but if you have them on, you make sure to do that. So what we do is we charge in and we fight him in his pool area, and we do it right here in the base, so that when he does his big AoE that pushes you back. This one, the massive geyser, it doesn't push us far enough away to aggro the paths. Our healer, Shaman in this case, kind of stands off a little bit as to not be too close, but also not too far, because he's going to spawn his ads here in just a moment, and right as he spawns it, we're going to whirlwind and instantly kill those little hydro spawns. Okay, other than that, very easy fight. This has nothing to do with him being a shaman or anything like that. Very easy fight with 3 men to take him out. He can drop essences of water, which sell for about 14 to 15 gold on my server. I don't know if that's as lucrative on yours, but so that's really what you're going for with the very first hydro spawn. So after that, we're going to move forward up and to the right here. You're going to find another shadow stalker. We're going to go ahead and take him out on our way to the second boss that we're going to be fighting here in DME's jumps. Now, an older strategy for this, or I shouldn't even say older because it is still a very active strategy, is to have a bear-off peasant caller for the second part, because the boss does an ability called sacrifice. It's literally his only mechanic that really matters. I think he has a pretty powerful dot, but nothing that you can't heal through. So you can use bear-off peasant caller and have him sacrifice, which puts whatever character is sacrificed onto this little pedestal and drains their life and gives the second boss the amount of life that it drains from the character that was sacrificed, if that makes sense. So using a bear of peasant caller is effective, but what we're going to do, because we have a shaman, is pretty much cheese the whole thing. So what the shaman is going to do is he's going to drop a grounding totem close to Zevram, and instead of sacrificing one of us, he is going to sacrifice the totem. He's not going to do any damage to the totem. The totem's not going to give him any life, and it makes the whole boss is so easy. It's almost funny. He's basically as difficult as a random elite in the world without his sacrifice ability. So our tank's going to engage. I'm going to charge afterwards, and our shaman, as you can see, I'm looking at him, is going to drop that grounding totem right there. Now watch, Zevram's going to cast sacrifice, and as he does, boom, he is going to grab the totem. It's going to sacrifice the totem. He's going to gain no additional health. We don't suffer we don't suffer any life steal, and we don't lose one of our members. It makes this, not that the fight was particularly difficult without this, but with this it's actually hilarious. Something to note is that you can't have Wind Fury when you are when there's a grounding totem down, so you sacrifice that, but it makes it so much easier that it's not even something that we think about or comment on. So after this fight, we're going to drop down here back into the area where the first boss died, and we're going to continue back into that room with all of those tree paths. So if you remember when we first entered the Dire Maul East and we jumped down, I said that we would go into more detail about how to maneuver around and what those tree paths exactly do. And so that's what we're going to be focusing on in this part, is how they maneuver and how you can go through them in the easiest possible way. And we're also going to show you where some more herbs and the second book in this area can spawn. So for the first tree path, this is the easiest one. He has 2 long paths. When I say a long path, I mean if I say a long path to the right, that means when the trees are going to the right, it's a long path, like a long path. That means it'll take them a long time to get to point A, turn around, and then come back the other direction. Both right and left are long, so anytime that they move in one direction, you can walk straight forward. You have to talk to Ironbark to get to the last boss, so we're going to talk to him, and we're going to start him on his little RP walk to open this door at the end of this pathway. At this point, we would usually go straight, but I'm going to show you where the second book is. Now, if I didn't explain this earlier, the books can have Fore's Compendium of Dragon Slaying, as well as all of the class books. You can sell them. It's a way to make easy money. We got some Grom's blood right here. If you had herbalism, you can pick that. This is where the second book spawns, right in between the tree and that root right there. You can always pause the video to look at the mini map and figure out exactly where those 2 books were, the one I just showed you and the one that we just looked at. Okay, so we are going to pause the video here for just a second, and we're going to look at these tree paths, right? So you have 3 in this one area, this one congested area that really matters. We're going to call this one the first tree path, and then this one in the back is going to be the second tree path, and then there's one back here that's going to be the third. Now for the very first tree path, his long path is to the left, right? So when I said long path, again, that's when they move that direction. It takes them the longest amount of time to move that way. Now why that matters is their short paths are very short, and if you go when they are on their short path, they're going to turn around, you're going to aggro them, and you're probably going to die. If you're with your whole group, you could probably handle a pack of 3, but it's easy to aggro more besides them. They stun, 2 of them heal. It's very annoying, so I just want to show you this so you don't accidentally aggro them, okay? So the very first one, this very first front one, their long pat is to the left, so you can move when they go to the left. This second one's, their long pat is to the right, okay? So they move to the left, they move to the right, we can move forward. Now there's a third pat right here. So there's the first one, second one, and third one. When you're moving, you have to keep them in mind. So the first one went to the left, third one went to the right. Now I'm sorry. The first one went to the left, second one went to the right. Now the third pat, their long pat is to the left. So in order, it goes left on the first, right on the second, left on the third. So left, right, left. Pretty easy, right? You can see that the third pat is moving to the right. That's their short pat. They're going to turn around very soon and go the other direction. Now, since that's the case, and the second pat is moving their long pat right now, we have a nice little safe spot that we can wait until this pat starts going on its long pat to the left. So if you start this video up, I'm going to get in this little safe spot right here where these lashers, right in between these 2 pats. Wait until the third pat goes to their long pat, which is to the left, and we're going to meet up with our friends. And then finally, if you can recall this area, this is right where we jumped down in the beginning. This is right where you jump down to start this DM East run, and which was right in front of the door. This is that same tree pat, right? This is where we went in the very beginning. So their long pat is back here to the right. And so as we see them moving, we can just go ahead and move forward. The reason that I spent a little bit of time to explain that is because that is the easiest thing that can trip up people in these runs. Those trees don't seem like they're tough, but I promise you that they are pretty tough if you aggro them and you're not expecting them. So if you need to go through that and watch that part again, I definitely recommend doing that and kind of explaining it. The shaman in our group puts Uncle, which is the other warrior, on follow. So don't be afraid to tell your friends to just put you on follow if you're the one who watches it and you want to show them this run and they're scared. Just say, hey, just put me on follow. All right, so finally we're at the last boss of DM East, okay? Now, to skip all of the ads in the room, we are going to walk through and we're going to jump up on this little rock, get up on this ledge, and jump on down to this pillar. Now, you don't want to jump unless he is in the middle-ish of the room, right? So he'll pat from the middle over to these little briarwood thingies. Don't jump down when he's right here. You're going to aggro him. You're going to die. It's not going to be a good time. So we're going to jump down. Also, I'm using a parachute cloak. So you'll probably see that I was kind of messing around with my trinkets and my cloaks and stuff. I put on my parachute cloak because I wanted to show you guys, if you have engineering, that you can use parachute cloak to make this a little bit easier on you, right? So you'll see me kind of go around, click on that just to kind of show you. I guess I was kind of showing off there. And you will see at the bottom of my screen that I also have like a red wand looking trinket. That's the Smoky's lighter. That's just something that is a little bit extra AoE for the imps. However, I don't necessarily need it for this run. Now, let's kind of talk about what to do here and what this boss does, because this is really the only part of the fight that can trip you up. So the biggest thing to know about this boss is that he has an ability called Enervate. Enervate is something that he'll cast on anybody with mana in your group. So in this group, it's just the shaman, right? It's just our friend here. What Enervate does is it just drains your mana at a pace of about like every 2 seconds. It has a big tick, and it demolishes, absolutely devastates your mana to the point where you will have 0 in the span of a very, very short amount of time. So it's something that needs to be watched. Now, the general strategy here is to LOS, have the shaman or have the priest LOS the casting of Enervate, and we're going to kind of show you how to here in just a moment. But here's why having a shaman makes this, again, absolutely broken. Shamans can remove Enervate from them before it ever ticks. So if you're a priest and you get enervated, it's probably a wipe. If you are a paladin, you get enervated, I don't know. Maybe they could do the immunity bubble. I'm not really sure. Again, don't play Alliance. Druid, pretty much dead. Shaman, not so much. You can completely get rid of the I think it is a poison. Yeah, it's a poison. It's a poison. So they can cure that off of them like it never happened. So we're gonna go through the positioning of this fight here. I just wanted to go ahead and show you that. That's again what makes this so much easier is it gives you this huge cushion that if your Shaman gets enervated, then it's not a wipe. So what we're gonna do is as soon as we pull him, we're gonna tank the boss right here, right where my cursor is, right in between this little nameplate and this chat box. The boss is gonna be here, the tank is gonna be right where I'm standing, and the healer is gonna be on this side of the pillar here. We're still gonna LOS. We're still gonna have the healer LOS the boss, so he doesn't have to keep curing the enervate off of him. But again, if he does get enervated, he can just remove it. So we're probably just going to get set up here before we pull. Something to note about this boss, as soon as you hit 50%, the wall to my left now comes down, and we're going to kind of go over the strategy of that when it happens. So our tank is going to go ahead and pull. He looks like he pulled him a little too far up. There he goes. Okay, he reset. So as the tank is drawing a threat, I'm going to just do some damage. The Shaman is over here, right? So he's LOSing. Right now, the boss can't enervate him because of the LOS. So that's what you want to do for the first 50% of his health is just this. Have the tank get a bunch of aggro. Have you just doing a bunch of damage. The boss isn't hard up until now. Now, if you have a funky pull and he enervates your caster, maybe that's tough. But as of now, the boss is very, very easy. It's the hard part is when the wall comes down and he gets lower than 50%. There's multiple ways you can deal with it. You can use grenades and engineering. You can use sapper charges, smoky's lighter, whirlwinds, any AoE that you have. We have 2 warriors, so we do have like whirlwinds and things like that. The way that I'm going to take care of this is because we have 2 warriors, what we're doing is we're trading run by run. We are trading challenging shout and retaliation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run in and I'm going to challenging shout all of the imps, because at 50% this wall drops. You have to run in. There's a bunch of imps that spawn. You have to kill the imps and you have to kill the boss. You can't fight him out here or else it'll draw the whole, it'll aggro the whole room. So I'm going to go in. I'm going to get aggro from all of the imps, pop retaliation, which if you're a warrior, you know, reflects all damage back to anything that's hitting you. And I am going to have the boss's aggro as well. I do believe I just face tank him with a 2-handed weapon. I don't think it's much of anything. You'll see our Shaman, he's actually going to stay LOS. So this guy's not enervating. You see, he's moving. So now he's getting enervated, but our Shaman just cleansed it off of himself. Do you see that? So as soon as he casted, let's go back and look. As soon as he casted enervate on the Shaman, so I'm going to go in, I'm going to challenging shout, and he's going to turn around as soon as he sees our Shaman. Watch. He's going to turn around, start casting enervate, and as soon as he gets hit with it, he's just going to stand there. He's just going to cure it right off. Now, the whole time that this is happening, I am not getting heals, okay? But that's okay, because as soon as he starts casting enervate, I'm no longer taking boss damage. If you're a warrior and you're wearing any kind of plate, you can tank some imps for a couple seconds while your healer is doing his thing, okay? So now that we've looked at how a Shaman can basically break this whole fight, and what he does after he heals himself or cures himself of that poison, he uses this side of the wall to LOS him. So at this point, he's good to go. He's fine. Keep in mind, he's an elemental shaman, so I know it looks like he doesn't have a lot of mana, but that's just because he doesn't have, he's not spec'd for that. So if he can do it, someone that's resto spec'd or someone, you know, you see what I'm saying. But anyway, let's take a look at what happens when the wall comes down. Lots of big numbers. So as soon as the wall comes down, you guys can, as 2 warriors, you can trade this duty. I'm going to go in, I'm going to challenging shout this, guys. So I'm going to challenging shout, get all of the aggro, pop retaliation, whirlwind, and just focus on the boss and watch all of the imps kill themselves. That's the Smoky's lighter that I showed you guys here at the beginning that does a little bit of extra AoE. So if we go back, you can kind of watch. So the wall comes down. This is the last time. Wall comes down, challenging shout, retaliate, whirlwind, and I'm also going to use Smoky's lighter for a little bit extra AoE. That's pretty much it. It's very easy. I'm not wearing I'm actually wearing a lot of leather in this video, I'm doing this like hybrid between PvP and PvE, just so I can have a little bit extra armor, but still have a lot of hit, a lot of crit. But that's pretty much it. The next run, our second warrior, this uncle, our other warrior, it would be his turn to retaliate. So then he would do it. It's a lot easier when he does it because he's a tank. He's wearing a bunch of mitigation, and I can just slap people. At the end of this run, 2 thorium veins are guaranteed to spawn. You can also have 3, and the legendary 4. I've never seen it, but apparently it can be a thing where 4 rich thorium veins spawn. It's a great way you get arcane crystals, blue sapphires, etc. Tons and tons of money. If you're wondering how long this entire run was for us, it is the length of this bar here, which is how long is this? 12 minutes and 55 seconds. And that actually doesn't even do it justice, because I think that the boss was down somewhere over here. Oh yeah, the boss was down to 10 minutes and 57 seconds. So these runs are 10 minutes long. Or I guess about 11 minutes long. Now we have a lot of experience doing it, so don't expect them to be this long, or I should say this short, right out of the gate. But it's an incredible way for you to make money. It's not very difficult. We, like I said, our shaman isn't exactly perfectly spec'd for this, and me and the other warrior are also. We're having conversations, we're hanging out, talking, laughing. There's much more effective ways you can do this. But it's just a wonderful way for you to make some money prior to, let's say, phase release, and then even after that. This is my go-to area to a go-to strategy to make money at any point in the game. That's pretty much gonna do it for the guide today, guys. I hope this was in some way helpful to you. This was kind of the first time that I have done a voiceover for that long consecutively without doing any cuts, so I hope it wasn't too jumbled. I hope that it made sense to you. I kind of wanted to try just going from start to finish of the dungeon and see how it went. But yeah, guys, I really appreciate all the love in these last couple of weeks. We hit 100 subscribers, which is great. So no more random gibberish URL link. It's now just youtube.com/JoshBarracks. It's a great moment for me. It's something that I've been pushing for a long time. And for all of you guys out there who have subbed already, and who are kind of along at the beginning of this journey for me, I really appreciate it. I do this full time, guys. I'm putting a lot of love and TLC into this. Well, this and then streaming is this. That's kind of the bread and butter, right? Is this and the stream. So I really appreciate it, guys. If you guys want to keep up to date with when these videos come out and when the stream goes live and the schedule and all of that, you guys can see all of my socials in the description. Twitter's kind of when I let people know that I'm going live, which is 4 days a week. And then, you know, Instagram for contents, daily micro content, etc., etc. You guys can find all of that in the description. And just, yeah, guys, thank you so much for all the love, and I hope that you enjoyed.